Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, hi, I'm Olivia. If you like creepy and bizarre stories, you know what to do with the subscribe button. Now, let's talk about the man who could make it rain. Maybe. When California found itself in a particularly bad drought in 1950, the city of San Diego did something bizarre. It hired a rainmaker, but what's more bizarre is that it might have worked. When Charles Malloy Hatfield began his water work, San Diego experienced its wettest period in recorded history. Ye gods of snow, of storm and shower, behind what Hatfield doth this hour, his electrochemic vapor rise, to wet the world and ease the skies. Hatfield was born in Fort Scott, Kansas on July 15, 1875. He moved with his family to Southern California in the 1880s, and after the 9th grade, he dropped out of school. He became a salesman for the New Home Sewing Machine Company. In his free time, he read about pluviculture, also known as artificial precipitation or rainmaking, the act of attempting to artificially induce or increase precipitation, though Hatfield called himself a moisture accelerator. He soon began to develop his own methods for producing rain. Hatfield believed he could instigate rainfall by evaporating chemicals into the air from towers. By 1902, he had created a secret mixture of 23 chemicals that, he claimed, attracted rain. He once said, quote, "I do not make rain. That would be an absurd claim. I simply attract clouds, and they do the rest." In 1904, he moved to Glendale, California, where promoter Fred Binney began a public relations campaign for Hatfield. A number of Los Angeles ranchers saw his ads in the newspapers and promised Hatfield $50 if he could produce rain. In February, Hatfield and his brother Paul built an evaporating tower at La Crescenta, where Hatfield stood and released his mixture into the air. Hatfield was apparently successful, so the ranchers paid him $100. It's been argued that the rain was a part of a storm that was already on its way, but Hatfield supporters disregard that. No matter the real cause of the rain, Hatfield benefited from it. He began to receive more job offers. He promised Los Angeles 18 inches of rain over the ensuing 5 months in return for $1,000. When the target was eclipsed, the rainmaker became a star. By 1905, he was so famous, the citizens of Glendale begged him not to invoke moisture on the Rose Parade. In 1906, Hatfield was invited to the Yukon Territories, where he agreed to make rain for the water-dependent mines of the Klondike goldfields. The Klondike contract was for $10,000, which is equivalent to $250,000 today, though this time he was unsuccessful after several attempts. However, this failure didn't deter his supporters. He still got a lot of job requests, and in 1915, the San Diego City Council approached Hatfield to produce rain to fill the Marina Dam Reservoir. The first year of San Diego's Panama, California exposition in Balboa Park in 1915 had been dry. Worried the drought would affect attendance, the Wide Awake Improvement Club urged city officials to hire Hatfield. On December 8, 1915, Hatfield claimed he would, quote, "fill Marina Reservoir to overflowing between now and next December 20th, 1916. If he didn't produce rain, he would refuse payment. The council agreed to pay him $10,000 once the reservoir was filled, but they never drew up a formal agreement. Hatfield continued based on a verbal understanding. On New Year's Day, 1916, Hatfield and his brother went to work at Marina Reservoir, 60 miles east of San Diego. They built 2 towers on a hill near the water. Hatfield mixed a, quote, "specially potent brew," unquote, of chemicals in a large tank. It was reported that soon, vapors like thick black smoke rose skyward. It seemed to work. On January 5, 1916, heavy rain began to fall. But it didn't stop. It fell heavier and heavier day after day. Dry riverbeds filled to the point of flooding that destroyed bridges, marooned trains, and cut phone cables. The rain stopped on the 20th of January, only to resume 2 days later. By January 26, dams and reservoirs filled beyond capacity and burst. Flash floods swept away livestock and trees and carried off barns and houses. On January 27th, Lower Atay Dam broke, releasing an estimated 3 billion gallons of water, which increased the devastation, and it's estimated 50 people died in what residents began referring to as Hatfield's flood. In all, it was the town's worst flood of the 20th century. Hatfield talked to the press on February 4th and said that the damages were not his fault and that the city should have taken adequate precautions. He argued that he had fulfilled the requirements of his contract, filling the reservoir. But the city council refused to pay him the $10,000 unless Hatfield would accept liability for the damages, which were worth $3.5 million. Besides, there wasn't even a written contract. Hatfield tried to settle for $4,000 and then sued the council. The litigation dragged on for 2 decades until 1938, when 2 courts decided that the rain was an act of God, which absolved Hatfield of any wrongdoing, but also meant he didn't get his fee. There is some truth to the saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity, because Hatfield's fame only grew after this. Once word got out about what he produced in San Diego, drought-stricken regions, some as far away as Honduras, sought and paid for Hatfield's services. Overall, Hatfield claimed at least 500 successes, but many people say Hatfield's successes were mainly due to his meteorological skill and sense of timing, selecting periods where there was a high probability of rain. But we can't know for sure because when Hatfield died on January 12, 1958, he took his secret chemical formula with him to his grave. And that is the story of Charles Hatfield, the Rainmaker.